News. January just happens to be National Train Your Dog Month, and many dog owners around the country are unfamiliar, as it turns out, with how to raise a well-adjusted canine companion. So, KIRO News Radio's Paul Holden is now climbing the learning curve as a new pet parent and has decided to seek professional advice.
There's an old saying, can you teach an old dog new tricks?
The short answer is yes, you can. A dog can learn at any age. Probably the bigger factor of how well the dog is going to learn is how persistent and consistent can the family be about changing their behavior so that their dog's behavior changes.
That's Bradley Phifer, Executive Director of the Council for Professional Dog Trainers. He tells me that dog training is all about consistency. That's something I've learned as I continue to go through my first experience owning a dog. My 67-pound lab mix Dot from the Athens County Dog Shelter in Ohio has been my best friend for 6 years, but still struggles in some areas, but she isn't the only one. As I've gone through this experience, I realized I wasn't prepared for the training side of dog ownership.
Dog training is not something you do. You don't just take a 6-week class or attend 3 private lessons. It has to become kind of a culture of your home, a way of life, if you will, so that as your dog matures and goes through different developmental stages, that you are remaining consistent with your expectations, that you are putting the time in to teaching your dog the things that they need to know in order to be well-behaved members of your family and the community. Being proactive with your expectations and things like that means, if we don't want our dogs to jump up on guests, then when we come home, we have to be disciplined enough to wait for our dogs to settle or to teach them to sit as they approach us. And sometimes we, within our home and our own dogs, we aren't upset about jumping up on us. And maybe we even enjoy our dogs jumping up to greet us in an affectionate way. But then we want to reprimand them when they jump up on company. And so I think as long as you have a clear set of guidelines and expectations for your dog and you're consistent about the follow through.
One change that Dot had to go through this year was no longer sleeping on the bed. There simply wasn't enough room for me and my fiance to sleep. She was not a fan at first, but now has learned to sleep in her own bed. It was a good reminder that even though my dog is an adult, she can still learn. Another thing we've considered is introducing a second dog to our house. And while I know Dot can handle being around other dogs, I wanted to know what type of behavior I should be looking for when she interacts with other dogs.
Dogs communicate through vocalization and body language. And so when 2 dogs are engaged in appropriate mutual interaction, it'll look respectful and it will look soft, meaning I might jump on you, you'll jump on me. I may play bow, which is where I put my, the dog puts their front paws on the ground and they're kind of arch their rear end into the air. It's a mutual game of chase. There are routine breaks where they kind of run around and play together and they pause and they start running around and playing together again, and then they'll pause. If ever you feel like your dog is either being bullied by another dog or is maybe being a bully, too gregarious with another dog, the best way you can handle it is to walk up, touch the dog's collar, who you feel is being too assertive or possibly rude, and see what their play partner does.
If you're looking into training for you and your dog, Phifer does have a helpful reminder.
So the CCPD website, which is www.ccpdt.org, has a trainer directory listed there. You can also go to fetchtheanswer.com, which is our consumer-facing website. And on Fetch the Answer, there are a number of resources written by our certificates on training tips and other kind of just resources, handouts, videos, where you can get some immediate help for your dog training needs and also find our trainer directory. It's worth mentioning that dog training is an unlicensed profession in the United States. And so, on social media and on the internet, you're going to find a lot of popular, famous, if you will, dog trainers that may or may not have demonstrated competence. They just have a strong fan base. And so when you're looking for a dog trainer to help you with your pet, do look for one of our credentials. That is the Certified Professional Dog Trainer Knowledge Assessed, CPDT-KA, or Knowledge and Skills Assessed, CPDT-KSA.
So remember, if you think it's too late for you or your dog to learn something new, that's simply not the case. Paul Holden, KIRO News Radio.